In the quiet corners of an old, forgotten town, there exists a legend whispered in hushed tones, one that chills the bones of those who dare to listen. It begins with a mask, not just any mask, but one that seems to watch you, even when no one is wearing it. This is the story of the Chilling Carnival Mask, an artifact so cursed that those who wear it find their faces forever altered, their identities stolen, and their lives haunted by the faces of those who came before. Imagine a mask that clings to your skin, its features seeping into yours, until you can no longer tell where it ends and you begin. Tonight, we uncover the dark history of this monstrous creation, a tale woven with mystery, horror, and the terrifying truth about the faces that refuse to fade. Stay with us as we step into the shadowy world of the carnival, where the mask waits and where nothing is ever as it seems. As the twilight settled over the quiet town, a peculiar sight began to unfold. Without warning, a traveling carnival emerged on the outskirts, its arrival unannounced and almost ghostly. The air grew thick with an eerie energy as the carnival's caravans rolled in, their faded colors and weathered wood hinting at secrets long buried. The stalls were dimly lit, casting flickering shadows that seemed to dance with a life of their own. Ominous music drifted through the air, a haunting melody that seemed to echo in the very bones of those who heard it. The performers moved with an unnatural grace, their smiles too wide, their eyes too sharp. Their laughter rang out, but it carried no warmth, only a chilling sense of unease. Among the chaos, a single stall stood apart, shrouded in darkness. Though no one dared to approach it, a faint glimmer could be seen within, as if something, or someone, watched from the shadows. The mask was there, waiting, its presence like a whisper on the edge of the night. As the carnival continued to hum with its strange, unsettling energy, a curious teenager named Alex wandered through the maze of stalls. Drawn by a mix of curiosity and unease, Alex's steps slowed near the darkest corner of the grounds. There, almost hidden from sight, stood a forgotten stall, its wood warped and its fabric tattered. Something about it compelled Alex to step closer, despite the chill that ran down their spine. Inside, resting on a cracked wooden shelf, was the mask. Its lifelike features were hauntingly precise, as if it had been molded from the face of someone long gone. The hollow eyes seemed to watch, following Alex's every movement, and the faint glimmer of the dim light made the mask's surface appear almost alive. Hesitant but unable to resist, Alex reached out and touched it. The moment their fingers brushed against the cold, smooth surface, a shudder coursed through them, as if the mask had somehow reached back. An invisible weight settled in the air, heavy and foreboding. Though Alex couldn't yet grasp it, the mask's dark power was already awakening, and it had chosen its next victim. As the weight of the mask's presence lingered in the air, Alex's curiosity overcame their hesitation. They lifted the mask from the shelf, its cold surface sending another shiver through their body. For a moment they hesitated, staring into the hollow eyes that seemed to stare back, but something compelled them, a force they couldn't quite explain. Slowly they raised the mask to their face and pressed it against their skin. The fit was unnaturally perfect, as if the mask had been made just for them. For a brief moment, nothing happened. Then, a strange sensation began to creep across their face, a tingling warmth that quickly turned into a deep, almost burning discomfort. Alex's hands flew to their face, trying to pull the mask away, but it clung to their skin as if it had become a part of them. In the dim light of the stall, they caught a glimpse of their reflection in a cracked mirror. Their hearts skipped a beat, The mask's features were no longer just on the mask. They were starting to imprint on Alex's own face. The lifelike contours of the mask's expression melded with their skin, its hollow eyes now blending with theirs. Panic surged through them as they tugged harder, but the mask wouldn't budge. A faint voice, barely more than a whisper, seemed to echo in their mind. It was unintelligible, but the tone was unmistakable. It was mocking, almost laughing. Alex's breathing quickened, their chest tightening with fear. What had they done? What was happening to them? As they finally managed to rip the mask away, their hands trembled. Relief washed over them for a moment, but it was short-lived. In the mirror, they could still see it, a faint outline of the mask's features etched into their skin, like a ghostly afterimage. Their face felt heavy, foreign, as if it no longer belonged to them. Alex stumbled back, their mind racing. This wasn't just a mask. It was something far darker, something alive, and it had marked them. The carnival's eerie music seemed to grow louder, wrapping around them like a sinister embrace. They knew deep down that this was only the beginning. The mask had chosen them, and there was no escaping its curse. As the night deepened and the carnival's eerie glow cast long shadows, Alex's unease grew. They knew they had to uncover the truth behind the mask, but the deeper they ventured, the more the carnival itself seemed to shift around them. The laughter and music that once felt distant now felt alive, almost predatory, as if the entire place was watching their every move. It was then that they stumbled upon a hidden alcove, tucked away behind the garish stalls. Inside, they found a collection of old, weathered books and scrolls, their pages filled with cryptic symbols and faded ink. As Alex leafed through them, the pieces began to fall into place. The carnival wasn't just a place of entertainment. It was a front, a carefully crafted illusion, masking something far more sinister. The books spoke of an ancient ritual, one that required the gathering of faces, not just physical features, but the very essence of identity. The mask, they realized, was no ordinary artifact. It was a cursed tool, designed to steal the faces of its wearers and trap them forever, their identities consumed to fuel a dark, otherworldly power. Alex's hands trembled as they read further. The carnival's performers, the shadowy figures who moved with unnatural grace, were not just entertainers. They were the architects of this ritual. Their grotesque appearances and unsettling behavior suddenly made sense. They were not human, at least not anymore. They were collectors, tasked with luring unsuspecting victims into the mask's grasp. A cold dread settled in Alex's chest as they realized the true scale of the horror. The carnival wasn't just a place. It was a trap, a carefully orchestrated machine designed to harvest faces for a purpose they could barely comprehend. And the mask, with its lifelike features and hollow eyes, was the key to it all. As they closed the book, a faint whisper seemed to echo through the alcove, a voice that sent chills down their spine. They weren't alone. The shadowy figures were watching, their presence felt even if not seen. Alex knew they had uncovered something they were never meant to find. The carnival's dark secret was laid bare, and now they were part of its twisted game. With the revelation weighing heavily on their mind, Alex knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. The mask's curse was already taking hold, and the carnival's shadowy figures would stop at nothing to ensure their ritual was complete. The night was far from over, and the true horror was only just beginning. As the night pressed on, the mask's curse began to tighten its grip. Alex felt it first as a faint tingling on their skin, like a cold breath lingering too long. But soon the sensation grew sharper, more insistent. They reached up to touch their face and froze. The skin felt wrong, too smooth, too rigid, as if it were no longer their own. Panic surged as they caught a glimpse of their reflection in a shard of broken glass. Their features were changing, shifting, blending with the mask's lifelike contours. It was as if the mask were alive, slowly consuming them from the outside in. And then the faces came. At first, they were just fleeting shadows, flickering at the edges of their vision. But as the night deepened, the shadows took shape. Figures began to emerge, their features twisted in silent agony. Alex recognized them, the faces from the carnival's posters, the ones that had seemed so familiar, yet so distant. These were the previous victims, their identities stolen, their faces trapped in an endless cycle of torment. The figures didn't speak, but their hollow eyes fixed on Alex, filled with a despair that seemed to echo in their very soul. The air grew heavier, charged with an otherworldly energy. Alex stumbled, their legs unsteady as the mask's power surged through them. Each step felt like wading through tar, the weight of the curse dragging them down. The faces followed, drifting closer, their silent presence a constant reminder of the fate that awaited. Alex's breath came in ragged gasps, their mind racing. They could feel the mask's influence spreading, their thoughts growing muddled, their sense of self slipping away. Desperation clawed at them. They tore at the mask, their fingers trembling as they tried to pry it free. But it was no use. The mask clung to their face like a second skin, its edges blending seamlessly with their own. A low, guttural laugh echoed in the air, cold and mocking. The shadowy figures were close now, their grotesque forms surrounding Alex in a tightening circle. The carnival's music swelled, a dissonant melody that seemed to pulse in time with the curse's relentless grip. In that moment, Alex realized the true horror of the mask's curse. It wasn't just the loss of their face, it was the loss of everything that made them who they were. Their memories, their emotions, their very essence, all of it was being consumed, absorbed into the mask's endless hunger. And as the faces of the victims closed in, their silent screams echoing in the night, Alex knew they were running out of time. The mask's curse was unstoppable, and the faces that wouldn't fade were a grim reminder of the fate that awaited them. As the shadows pressed closer, Alex knew they couldn't face this alone. With time slipping through their fingers like sand, they made a frantic decision to seek help. Their search led them to an elderly historian, a man known for his expertise in cursed artifacts and forgotten legends. His home was a labyrinth of dusty books, ancient relics, and the faint scent of aged parchment. The moment Alex stepped inside, the historian's sharp eyes locked onto the mask, and his expression shifted from curiosity to grim understanding. The historian listened intently as Alex recounted their harrowing experience, his weathered fingers tracing the spine of an ancient tome. He spoke of a long-forgotten ritual, one tied to a dark chapter of history. The mask, he explained, was no ordinary artifact. It was a vessel created centuries ago by a malevolent force to trap the identities of its wearers. Each face it consumed added to its power, binding the victims to an eternity of torment. But there was a glimmer of hope. The historian revealed that the mask's curse could be broken if it were returned to its original resting place. This sacred site, hidden deep within the earth, was the only place where the mask's power could be undone. The task would be perilous, requiring Alex to face the very forces that sought to consume them. Yet it was their only chance to reclaim their identity and free the faces trapped within the mask. With the historian's guidance, Alex began to prepare for the journey ahead. The old man handed them a weathered map, its lines faded but still legible, and shared cryptic warnings about the dangers they would face. Time was running out, and the mask's influence continued to grow, its presence like a weight on Alex's soul. As they stepped back into the night, the historian's final words echoed in their mind. The mask's power is vast, but so too is the force of a determined heart. The path forward was uncertain, but Alex knew they had no choice. The curse had already begun to erase them, piece by piece, and the faces of the victims haunted their every step. With the map in hand and the historian's knowledge guiding them, they set off toward the mask's original resting place, where the final battle for their identity and freedom awaited. As the final night of the carnival approached, Alex felt the weight of the mask's curse pressing harder than ever. The once lively fairgrounds now lay cloaked in an unnatural darkness, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. The carnival, which had seemed strange before, had transformed into something far more sinister. The colorful lights flickered weakly, casting long, distorted shadows that seemed to move on their own. The cheerful music had turned into a discordant melody, each note grating against the nerves, as if the carnival itself was alive and mocking. The performers, once odd but human, now stood revealed in their true forms. Their faces twisted into grotesque masks of their own, their eyes hollow and glinting with malice. They moved with an unnatural fluidity, their laughter echoing like a chorus of distant screams. The air smelled faintly of decay, and the ground beneath Alex's feet felt unstable, as though it might give way at any moment. The mask in their hands pulsed with a cold, malevolent energy, its power growing stronger with every step they took into the carnival's heart. Alex could feel the mask's influence seeping into their mind, whispering dark thoughts and urging them to give in. The faces of its previous victims seemed to swirl around them, their expressions frozen in eternal agony. The mask was no longer just an object. It was a force, pulling Alex deeper into its grip, testing their resolve. They tightened their grip on the map, the historian's warnings ringing in their ears. This was the final night, the last chance to break the curse before it consumed them completely. As they ventured further, the carnival's twisted reality became more apparent. The stalls were now grotesque caricatures of their former selves, their decorations peeling away to reveal layers of rot and decay. The Ferris wheel creaked ominously, its gondolas swaying as if filled with unseen passengers. The closer Alex got to the mask's original resting place, the more the carnival seemed to resist, as though it knew what they were trying to do. The performers began to close in, their twisted faces contorted into sneers and snarls, but Alex pressed on, driven by desperation and the faint hope of freedom. The mask's power was almost overwhelming now, its cold tendrils wrapping around Alex's thoughts. They could feel their own face beginning to merge with it, the edges blurring as if it were trying to claim them entirely. But they couldn't stop, not now, not when they were so close. The carnival's final night was a test of will, and Alex knew that if they faltered, they would become just another face trapped within the mask's eternal prison. As the night deepened, Alex reached the heart of the carnival, where the map had marked the mask's original resting place. The ground here was cracked and charred, as if it had been scorched by some long-forgotten fire. A crude stone altar stood at the center, etched with ancient symbols that seemed to whisper as Alex approached. The air grew colder, and the mask in their hands vibrated with a fierce resistance, as if it knew its end was near. With trembling hands, Alex placed the mask on the altar, the historian's instructions echoing in their mind. The ritual was simple in theory: repeat the incantation, light the sacred flame, and destroy the mask before the clock struck midnight. But the carnival wasn't about to let go of its prize so easily. As Alex began the chant, the shadows around them came alive. The grotesque performers emerged from the darkness, their twisted faces snarling as they closed in. The mask's whispers grew louder, urging Alex to stop, to give in, to let the curse claim them. But they pressed on, their voice shaking but steady, as they continued the incantation. The first flame flickered to life, casting an eerie glow over the altar. The performers hesitated, their grotesque forms wavering in the light. But then, with a collective shriek, they lunged forward. Alex dodged a clawed hand, their heart racing as they lit the second flame. The mask's surface began to crack, but its resistance only intensified. The final flame was the hardest. As Alex reached for the match, the mask's power surged, wrapping around their mind like a vice. Their vision blurred, and they could feel their face merging with the mask's grotesque features. The performers were almost upon them, their snarls deafening. With a desperate cry, Alex struck the match and touched it to the final flame. The altar erupted in a blinding light, and the mask let out an ear-piercing scream. The performers froze, their forms dissolving into shadows that were swallowed by the light. The mask cracked and splintered, its surface crumbling away until nothing remained but dust. But as Alex fell to their knees, gasping for air, they realized the curse wasn't entirely broken. Their face, though no longer merged with the mask, bore a faint scar, a reminder of the mask's lingering power. The carnival was silent now, its twisted reality fading into the night. But somewhere, deep in the shadows, the mask's laughter echoed, waiting for its next victim. As the dust settled and the carnival's eerie silence enveloped the night, Alex stumbled away from the altar, their body trembling with exhaustion. The mask was gone, its cursed form reduced to ashes, but the victory felt hollow. Raising a shaky hand to their face, they felt the faint, jagged scar that traced the contours of where the mask had once clung. It was a permanent mark, a haunting reminder of the ordeal they had barely survived. Though the carnival had vanished into the shadows, its twisted performers dissolved into nothingness, the mask's presence lingered. The scar wasn't just physical. It was a tether, a whisper of the curse that refused to let go completely. Alex could still hear its faint laughter, a sound that seemed to drift on the wind, taunting them from the edges of their consciousness. Weeks passed, and life returned to a fragile semblance of normalcy. But the scar remained, a constant reminder of the mask's power. Alex tried to move on, to convince themselves that the nightmare was over, but the fear never left. Every mirror reflected not just their face, but the faint, grotesque features of the mask etched into their skin. And then, one night, as Alex walked past a local fairground, they froze. Among the crowd, a figure stood out, a stranger wearing a mask that looked all too familiar. Its lifelike features, hollow eyes, and chilling smile were unmistakable. The mask had found its next victim. As the stranger disappeared into the crowd, Alex felt a cold dread settle in their chest. The mask was still out there, its curse eternal, its laughter echoing in the shadows. It was only a matter of time before it claimed another soul, weaving its dark magic into the fabric of reality once more. Now stepping into the aftermath, Alex found themselves trapped in a world that no longer felt safe. The scar on their face was more than just a mark. It was a constant reminder of the horror they had endured. Every shadow seemed to move, every reflection in the mirror seemed to twist, and the faint laughter of the mask echoed in the quiet moments of their day. Sleep became a battleground, with nightmares of the carnival and the mask's lifeless eyes haunting their dreams. Paranoia crept into every corner of their life. A stranger's gaze felt too long. A casual touch on the shoulder sent shivers down their spine, and the sound of distant carnival music made their heart race. Friends noticed the change, but Alex couldn't bring themselves to explain. How could they describe a fear so irrational, yet so real? The mask's curse had left them broken, forever looking over their shoulder, waiting for it to return. Then, on a cool autumn evening, as Alex wandered through a local festival, the nightmare resurfaced. Amid the laughter and music, a figure stood out, a stranger wearing a mask. Not just any mask, but one that mirrored the Chilling Carnival Mask in every detail. The lifelike features, the hollow eyes, the chilling smile. It was unmistakable. Alex's breath caught in their throat as they watched the stranger move through the crowd, their presence radiating an unnatural aura. As the figure disappeared into the sea of people, Alex felt a cold dread settle in their chest. The mask had found its next victim, and the cycle was beginning again. The scar on their face burned as if in warning, a silent scream that the curse was far from over. The carnival may have vanished, but its darkness lingered, waiting to claim another soul. Now reflecting on the tale we've just unraveled, the Chilling Carnival Mask emerges as more than a cursed artifact. It's a symbol of an unstoppable, eternal darkness. From the moment it appeared in that eerie carnival to its final, chilling reappearance at the local festival, the mask's grip on its victims never loosened. It stole faces, shattered lives, and left behind scars that burned with the memory of its curse. Alex's story is a harrowing reminder that some horrors, once unleashed, cannot be undone. The carnival may have vanished, but the mask's presence lingers, waiting for its next unwitting wearer. Its curse is eternal, its hunger insatiable. As Alex walks away, forever marked by their encounter, we're left with a chilling truth: the mask is still out there, hidden among the shadows, ready to claim another soul. Its laughter echoes in the silence, a haunting reminder that the nightmare is far from over. So, dear viewers, what do you think lies at the heart of the Chilling Carnival Mask's curse? Is it a force of pure evil, a lost soul seeking vengeance, or something far more ancient and unknowable? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this tale of terror, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more spine-tingling stories. The carnival may be gone, but the darkness remains always watching, always waiting.